Steven, I don't want to switch to Sony again. I mean, this rumor lens is so dreamy if it's real, but I don't want to switch again. I don't want to do it.
Steven, about 10 minutes ago, my car sent me a notification. My Tesla app was like, your car has been on heat for an extended period of time.
Oh.
Like, what? I get out of my car, I shut the door, it knows I leave my car, but somehow the heat was on max on everything, and it stayed running for like an hour, if I had to guess.
Oh.
How does that make any sense? Like a glitch in the fucking system. So I reset the car. I don't understand. It was like everything was blazing hot in there because it was just blowing on full blast.
So many jokes can be had. Oh, not doing it. Not doing it.
Oh, hotter than Auschwitz? Is that where you were going? You were trying to say that someone
I didn't
was
say
trying.
anything.
I just figured
The
out
Tesla
that's
Model
what you
9.
were,
What?
Well, that's what I just figured. That's what you were thinking, is that they were trying to use a crematorium on me. That's terrible. I wasn't even going.
I didn't say.
Steven.
You brought it up, man.
Yeah, you thought it, and then I was like, oh, let me play this game of what is Steven thinking, and then I did because
Putting words in my mouth. I said none of that.
yeah, I see your haircut. I see your haircut.
What are you talking about? My hair looks great.
If you had a little black mustache, it would be pretty close.
Oh, like Charlie Chaplin.
Mein Fuhrer. Very close with the floppy hair and the buzz sides.
I just got a fresh cut last night.
Yeah, I'm starting to question what's going on. Hey, speaking of fresh
My
cuts,
secret evil plan to be working with you, heating up your Tesla Model 9.
how's your barber?
Oh, he's good. He's not buying any more cameras anymore at this point. I think he's over that phase. I've sold him 4 cameras at this point. Everything from like my 7D to my 5D Mark III.
That's a lot of stuff.
That is a lot of cameras that I think he barely used.
I just don't understand what happened with the car. I really have no idea why that's not supposed to happen.
Yeah, that's odd. So it was running, or just the heat was on the entire time?
The heat was on full blast when I looked. Like my car notified me. It's like, your car has been on cabin. The cabin temperature has been going up or whatever. And I'm like, wait a second, it's not hot out. And so it just notified me that it was just blowing for no reason. None. There's no way that I could think that it would just be on. I didn't accidentally hit something when I left the car.
Have you had any other glitches with that car?
No. Never have I had one of those glitches like that.
I was going to say, because it is a very software-based car, but at the same time, you've had no issues. So,
yeah,
weird.
Well, no issues like that. I had the computer replaced at the very beginning. The computer failed. There was a problem with something.
The entire internal computer.
There's something failed. I don't know what, but they replaced it and fixed it, and we've been going ever since.
Okay. You've had that car for 3 years?
Yeah, I bought it December of 23, I think.
Yeah. Okay, 2 years.
You know, well, I wanted to wait for the new model, but the new model was never coming, right? And I wanted to get one because I don't drive a shit ton, and I wanted the electric part of it, and whatever.
Didn't you buy it and like right after it went on rebate or sale or something?
Yeah, so I bought it, and then after the return period ended, they dropped the price like $15,000.
Ugh.
I got the $7,500 rebate, not the tax rebate, because I wasn't eligible for that because I make too many money trucks. It was they were giving a $7,500 rebate, but it's such bullshit. You give a $7,500 rebate, and then when the 2-week period ends, all of a sudden they drop it $15,000, which crushes a market because anybody that bought a car can't now sell it, is going to take a major loss if they try to sell it used. It just crushes the market. They just play manipulative games with that stuff. But
telling you, man, I'm going to run my sedan down into the ground. I got 105,000 miles on that bad boy and easily got another 100K to go.
Are you? Yeah, but what happens? Are you going to put a kid in the back seat?
Yeah. What do you mean?
2 kids?
I could fit 2. Eventually, we're going to have to upgrade to some kind of crossover or SUV of some sort if we, have 2 or 3 kids. But for now, it's going to be some time.
You don't want a bigger vehicle? You don't want to move into a safer, bigger car?
Eventually, yeah. I'm saying my car, I'm going to run into the ground. I'm not saying my wife's car. We will probably end up switching out.
She just runs it into the ground herself.
Literally, yes.
I I'm not saying that it's a woman driving.
Oh, dude.
I'm not saying it's a woman driving.
So we both back into the garage, and the cars barely have enough room when you're fitting 2 cars into a single garage. Her side has all scuff marks on the side of the garage because she hits the garage almost every single time she backs in.
Why don't you put
I have the little tennis balls and everything, so all she has to do is back up, hit the ball, and then she knows exactly where she is.
Steven, here's what I'm envisioning. Imagine this. Let's go turn on the AI right now to animate this. Woman starts to back into garage. Tennis balls are there. She's inching. Boom! She steps on it at the last second, fucking crushes the tennis ball into the wall, and then looks, gets out of the car. It's like, oh, everything's fine.
I mean, it's not so much the back of the garage that she's hitting. It's more the side of the garage when she's turning her wheel going in. Like she tries to get as close to the wall as possible and ends up hitting the side of the garage when she backs in.
So what do you tell her? What do you say every time?
Do better.
And what does she say?
It's fine. I'm like, have you looked at the side of your car? It looks like you got into an accident. That's how many scuff marks you have at this point. Anyway, move on because I'll get in trouble if I keep going.
Why? Is she going to listen to this? When's the last time she listened to a
highly
podcast?
Doubt she will listen to this.
I'm going to text her. I'm going to be heading out of town next week. I'm going to be going to Fairlawn, Ohio for the Tournament of Champions, aka the TOC for bowling, where we are finishing our last shoot of a tournament. It's the last major tournament of the season, and then we are basically wrapped on shooting the tournament stuff and the off the lane stuff, and the only thing they need to do are hero interviews where they're gonna set up stuff at a specific location, bring in the bowlers, and do the hero interviews for the season. So once we wrap on that, the editing process is what kicks in. I'm not sure how long that takes. I'm not sure when they'll deliver final deliverable. Yeah. Well, I have nothing to do with it, but I know that our main he's a producer, but he's also a showrunner type guy. He watches all the footage, so he knows where the footage is. He knows what's there. He makes notes. He comes up with a script potential outline for a storyline, and then the editor goes and follows that, but also starts to put their own touch on things.
Yeah, I mean, you are creating the story in post. It's the complete opposite of a normal feature or an episodic series of some sort. It's very hard to make something out of nothing. I think doc work is some of the hardest stuff because also you're fly on the wall filming the entire time. You don't know what you're going to get. You have to react incredibly fast. Like I know recently you got a shot of one of the bowlers kind of flipping out, right?
Oh, Simo? Yeah.
When he was yelling and you were hoping the audio hit and all that.
Well, he wasn't yelling. He yelled. I'll paint the picture for you.
Yeah.
I went out to Detroit. Simo was in a major. It was the Masters, the bowling Masters, whatever that means at this point, the USBC Masters. And he needed to win a bunch of matches. He won his first match, and then he needed to beat the other guy 2 matches because it's a double elimination, and the other guy had no losses. He beats him in the first match, and he has the ball in his hands to really put the screws to the other guy and didn't bowl well. Threw a couple bad shots, and that cost him the tournament. So I'm following him. There are other camera guys following him. We go into the back, he's walking off from the side, then he walks through the crowd, has to go into the paddock area, which is a private area. The door is open at that point. So he holds the door for me. He holds the door for the camera guy. We walk in. I turn around as he closes the door and he goes, I want to apologize to anybody before I do this. And he's like, okay. And he goes, fuck. And he goes, and then he opens the door, puts the kickstand back on the door and says, I feel better now, and walks into a room off camera. I got it.
And you were shooting manual exposure, correct?
Well, I mean, I was shooting at 24, probably 24p. And yeah, I mean, what's that, 1/50th of a second? I banged it up to 10,000 ISO, which I probably should have just left it a little darker.
Exposure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I'm surprised you're doing that. And not in some sort of auto.
Why?
Because of situations like that, when you're going into a dark room really quick and it happens like that.
I'm doing it all myself. The only thing I'm changing is ISO. Shutter speed, aperture stay the same.
Yeah.
Well, full manual, but there's some times where I have to actually bump the aperture up because it's brighter under those TV lights, and I might take the what am I using, like 70-200? I might take it to an f4 or so because I just need to cut down. I just need to cut down.
Well, because you're shooting logs, so your camera is much more sensitive, and you're probably wide open, if I had to guess.
Well, I'm wide open most of the time, except for if I'm at 800 ISO and I'm at 1.2 lens, I might have to go to f2 or something on that 1.2 lens to compensate if I don't have an ND, because I'm not going to break out an ND that fast. That's where having a cinema camera that has built-in ND comes in handy. You just go ahead and press that button.
Of course.
So that's what you do. But anyway, yeah, that's what happened. He screamed, and that would definitely make the show because it's just a quick thing and it's real, it's raw, and that's that.
At least you guys are the whole story, the whole show is about obviously like winning and losing and behind the scenes of the bowling world for the most part. So there is always going to be some drama happening. Where Bernie, it was just like following him on the trail and you photographing him, and there was no like real drama. That we tried to make drama in post, which I think worked out.
Do you
some
want
of the shots.
drama, Steven? Do you want drama?
But at least
I
know
can give you drama.
When it's a sports-centric show, there's always going to be some sort of a build-up. You know what I mean?
I want ice cream, and I want ice cream right now. Ben and or Jerry's. I would prefer to have the vanilla. They didn't have vanilla. We're going to have some drama, Steven. Anyway, so I'll be heading out to Ohio again. I have a lot of dates under my belt. How many dates have I done so far? I have a note here. I have a page. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, not even counting travel days, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This will be 12, 13, 14, 15. This will be like 16, 17 days of me out there producing and shooting. Like, that's the thing, is based off of budgets, because the budgets aren't strong. The budgets will get bigger if we get picked up for season 2, obviously. But because of that, they don't have enough budget to bring in a second shooter. So it's like, I'm coming in as a second shooter, and I've gotten feedback from our guy, our DP Tommy, who's looked at the stuff and he's like, yeah, you're getting good stuff. Maybe a little dark in certain situations was one of the feedbacks. But part of that is, depending on the location, it's meant to be darker off stage, in my opinion. I didn't want to overbrighten it.
You need to kind of expose to the right, too, with log. So that's the thing. You kind of want your exposure to look brighter than normal in your viewfinder.
Well, I don't know this stuff. I'm not a second shooter. I'm not a video shooter.
Yeah, I'm shocked that they don't have a second shooter on a show that they're pitching. Like, they only have one shooter?
Well, we did multiple shooters on the first, and there's no budget now for multiple shooters on the last.
That's
and
crazy.
I've been filling in as a shooter. So
I mean, I did the whole Bernie thing by myself, but that was not easy. I had to fake it and create like second angles.
Yeah.
I would have loved for a second. It would have been probably much better if we had more shooters, for sure.
It's just the nature of budgets. It's insane how quickly they go, because when you think of a budget for another shooter, you have to pay a day rate, you have to pay travel, you have to pay per diem, you have to cover everything. And so it starts to add up. It's tens of thousands of dollars the more people you add. And I don't even know if we have an audio guy for that. We need an audio guy. We absolutely have to have an audio guy.
Do you guys find yourselves, when you do have one shooter, like he's trying to run around and get multiple angles, get a solo 2-shot close up?
No, he can't. There's no way, because the stuff happens too quick.
Yeah.
When I'm there.
But if you know that they're just going to be bowling over and over again, trying to get that coverage.
Oh, yeah. He'll go from his 24 to 70, throw on there the 70 to 200 just to try snipe stuff from a distance.
He's editing in his head.
Yeah. I'm also throwing in there the off-speed stuff. So I'm shooting at 60 or occasionally 120, not a lot. I will flip into 120 when it comes to the end of a match and something major might happen. I flip into 120 at that point. And we have hand signals for everything now, and which helps me out, because I told them, because I didn't have in-ears, which our comms have been really shitty, and I need better comms, and I need, if someone's mic'd up, to hear what they're saying, so I know what they're saying, so I can focus on it.
I will say when I follow you around, it is great to have a microphone on you and me to hear every single thing you're saying, because I know exactly what you're photographing or what you're saying to the subject, and I know what you're about to do next. You know, like, let's go over here, and I'll run over there and make sure I follow you, or I'm prepared when you land in that spot. So it is great to have, like you said, comms or the hand signals, like Jaffe, for example, the cam op that we had during the Grand Canyon show years ago. What, 8 years ago at this point?
2015.
Yeah.
No, it's 10 years ago.
Oh, Jesus Christ, 10 years ago. Well, me and him were going back and forth with the hand shots, basically being like 2-shot, 1-shot, solo, profile, all of that. And we try our best to not get in each other's way, because we were filming it more like, that was more of like an episodic show and not so much like a doc reality type show.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a traditional shooter, obviously. I'm a photographer who can capture video clips without a problem, but I have them, now tell me 1, 2, or 3, because my camera set to, I have custom modes 1, 2, and 3. 1 is 24, 1 is 60, 1 is 120. So sorry, 1 is 24, 2 is 60, and when they flip to 3, that's 120. But I'm mostly making the decisions on my own, and with what they do in post at this point, they're figuring it. They can figure it all out.
Oh, so your hand signals are frame rates.
Yeah,
interesting.
Well, if I'm shooting interviews,
framing.
Well, it's hard with framing because there's only usually sometimes it's just one person in that area.
But like a wide, a tight, a medium, get the background.
I'm moving around. So when I did this one interview, when I shot on an off day, when the other guy was off because you have to on down days, there was like this interviewee thing going on with 3 guys sitting around, a couple of producers from Fox, the phone, someone was doing interview via phone, and I'm just doing it when I was doing cutaways. So I was making sure I get the cutaways so that they could have the people laughing or smiling. And then you cut back to the phone so you could see who's on the phone. And then you cut over to the person taking notes. So it's cutaways. It's things that
all the glue
can cover up the mistakes. Or not mistakes, but the cuts.
Sure. So what do you guys have? A pilot done right now, or just a teaser, a sizzle? And
no, the sizzle's done.
So you don't have any episodes done yet, right?
No, everything's in the can.
Okay, everything's filmed and shot.
Except for this last, like I said, the last tournament is being shot next week, and then the hero interviews happen, and that's basically the show.
Do you have any idea of how many episodes you're going for?
Yeah, I know how many were sold, and I know how long each episode is.
I'm assuming you can't say that number?
I have no idea what I can and can't say. I'm not even supposed to. It literally says on the day sheet.
Talking about this.
No, fuck that. I've been talking about it for 4 years before this shit even existed at this point. It says on the day sheet, this is a closed set. Don't share content on social. And I'm sitting there. I'm like, it's a live event. We're not sharing anything that can't be shared. I'm sharing it. I'm sharing it. You're not telling me not to.
In the beginning, when you were talking about Simo freaking out and screaming the F word, I was going to be like, well, don't give it away. But it's like, people know that he obviously lost if they watch Polin.
Well, they know he lost. They know he lost.
It's all there. Yeah.
Right. So it's like, guys, this isn't a movie. This is reality. The shit's on TV. The shit's all over the place. This builds interest to discuss it.
And that's why I think it has to be released in a timely manner, because it is sports centric. And if you release it 2-3 years from now, it's kind of weird talking about a tournament that happened 3 years ago.
Yeah, but 6-7 months is fine. It's the same with Drive to Survive, right? Like, I'm watching the episodes from last year, and they're already started. They already have the 2025 season rolling, but I don't care. I don't follow it at all.
Yeah, no, I think within the year is perfectly acceptable. I'm saying if it came out years from now, it's a little odd.
Yeah, no, we're hoping that it gets out before hopefully the end of the year. Cool. I mean, that would be the hope. And then they can pick up season 2 right away, because that starts in like February of next year. And then hopefully the budgets expand 3-4x because it's really good and exciting. And if that's the case, then you will actually have more shooters. If it's not the case,
then we'll have real shooters on set.
Well, real shooters for me to still get pissed off at for doing things that I'm like, what are you doing?
Amateur.
Like, why are you not moving?
I shot the entire first season.
Why are you not changing your angles? Like, I'm so particular about this stuff.
I'm like sweating when I shoot you half the time because I'm waiting for you to say something about me shooting.
We haven't done a shoot out and about.
In studio too, I'm talking about.
I don't say anything because the cameras are all locked off. I know what the cameras are.
I'm thinking of the Fun to Photographer recently, and you're like, "Are you okay, Steven? You okay? You good? You have this?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm fine. Keep going."
You never know because there's a lot of incompetence on other people's levels, and it unfortunately.
I will stop things if it's that bad.
Yeah, I know.
If I don't say anything, everything's rolling smoothly.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. We've got a bunch of things to talk about. Continuing in the episode, we've got. I want to talk about my 4x5 project and what it's been like using the wide lux this year as baseball started. Tariff whiplash because the lot has whipped and lashed since last week. The AP gets let back into the White House, and there's a massive Sony rumor to discuss that Sony Alpha Rumors has posted. But before we do that, this is not a sponsored plug, but if you want to get a Printique book right now, they're doing 20% off of your order. If you order books, it's gift 20, all one word, lowercase GIFT, and then 20 right after that. I don't even know if I'm supposed to share it. I have no idea. They gave me the code and said I think it's a Passover thing going on. I didn't ask. Whatever. This is the code.
Do they still run a bunch of deals throughout the year, or is it just like one or two now? Because it used to be like every month, here's 25% off.
Well, it depends on who the CEO is at the time. They've gone through 73 of them at this point, so I don't really pay attention. You know, it used to be they would be like, let's do 30% off, and that spurs sales. But then they didn't want to be known as the people that run sales all the time. But in that industry, it's like, that's what, like, I don't order books until they have a sale.
That's how I was 20%, too.
And I have credit.
Yeah.
And I get credit.
Same
but I want
here.
to,
Same here.
I want to expand my credit. You still have credit?
I do. I think I have like $400 worth of credit.
No, I ordered 2 books yesterday for my 4x5 project last year. I have a 12x12, which is what I ordered, which is a big book to carry around. But then I see that I could make an 8x8 and a 6x6. So I ordered an 8x8 and a 6x6. And with the savings, it was like under $400. I just want to see which one I should carry, which is much easier to carry around when I'm trying to showcase what I'm doing on the road. Much easier than taking the 12x12 book.
And the only reason yours are more expensive is because you usually have a ton of pages, right?
I usually max out almost to 100 pages.
Yeah, that's a lot.
The 12x12 book is $406.
Yeah. That makes sense because it's a big book, which if you think about it, it's really not that bad price-wise because it is a legit full-on like one-off book.
And photograph and photos. It just reminds me of the years of selling wedding albums or attempting to sell wedding albums back in the day. They were always expensive to produce. Nowadays, you go on a place like Printique and they have all custom layouts. It could do it all in one fell swoop. You don't need to do mats. We used to have to do mats and then like use these sticker tabs rolled onto the back to get them to stick. It was like so 1990s and 1980s style wedding albums with the posts and everything.
Quite literally a photo album, yeah.
I'm curious how many of the brides' weddings I've shot are actually still married. Okay. I know there's a couple of them that aren't, and I didn't shoot that many, but I know that this one guy, not married, that other person, not married, a bunch of them, not that I can think of. 2 others are married. I know that. They're still married. So it's probably 50-50 at this point.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Wonder about that hot one. I wonder if she's still married. Well, I wonder about her sister.
Hey, do you remember when I shot your wedding the day you got married? Are you single?
Well, funny thing about that, I have a friend whose wife cheated on him with the wedding photographer.
Wow. Was it you?
No, it wasn't me. He did ask though, but it wasn't me.
Photographer in quotes.
It wasn't me. No, I slept with her at a different time, but it wasn't that time.
Him?
No, well maybe. But hey, what can you do? You're young.
How do we end up down these rabbit holes, man?
It wasn't me, Steven. Anyway, gift 20 is the gift that keeps giving for photo books. I don't even know when it ends, but it's Printique. They don't even have I told them to set up printique.com/fro so they can track my people going there, but they never set it
influence.
up. Well, they're always like, well, can you sign up for Conjunction Junction? What's your function or whatever it's called? The one where you do the affiliate links. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to go and sign up for that. Create me a
Why?
custom landing page. Why? Because people don't use those links. I verbally say things to people all the time, and they remember to go to printique.com/fro, and then anytime someone lands there and makes a purchase, it credits me more than like on Instagram doing links are not as good.
I've certainly went down in the description when someone calls out an affiliate link and clicked on links and bought through someone else's link just to give them a little kickback. And
I personally do.
I almost am more annoyed if I have to type it in.
Yeah, but that's just a code. Now, when I go to and watch something for like a fitness piece of equipment or something, I go and I'm like, oh, well, this person took the time to make this video. I'm going to do that. But I don't think most people think like us because they don't know what it's like to get affiliate commissions and that they learned from you. So why don't they go and click that link?
Yeah.
So anyway, moving off of that, I've started the 4x5 again. I'm kind of struggling with what to do. I've only photographed a few games. Shohei Ohtani was in town. I took the 4x5. I tried something from the outfield. What I'm running into right now is what do I do different? I have the whole year under my belt last year, and it becomes now what? Right?
Well, what's a majority of the photos that you shot last year? Is it just mainly like wide, full shots of the stadium? Is it tight shots of the players? Is it a little bit of everything?
It's a mix. It's portraits. It's some game action. It's stadiums like Wrigley and Fenway and Citizens Bank Ballpark. The best type of shots for me are the setup shots where you get a guy in a uniform.
Of course.
The problem with that is that when batting practice is happening, this isn't 1940 where they have literally one uniform and they wear it all day. They have batting practice attire. So they're not wearing uniforms. So the photos don't generally look as cool. What I need to do is I need to do outreach to the PR people for these teams and get them to understand that I need 10 minutes with a player in uniform. It can be super early. It can be 4, 5, 6 hours before a game because they're always there early. If I can get 10 minutes to do a bench photo without anybody else around, or get them on the field leaning on the dugout, or kneeling on a bat, or doing something different where I have access, that is where the project needs to expand to. Because just me waiting on the field 4 hours before the game, when these guys start to get into work mode, is not the best time to grab them. Like, for example, the other day, I got yelled at by the Dodgers security as Mookie Betts was taking some infield on the side. I didn't get that close. I was just going to set up a shot, and he's like, the guy was, give him room. I'm like, we literally just talked about doing photos with him. He's like, until he tells me you need to get out of here. And I'm like, you want to see what I do? And he's like, I don't care.
Do you know who I am?
I'm like, do you want to see the type of stuff I'm creating here? He's like, I don't care. I'm like, you know what? I care. I went and got my book and I opened it in front of him and he's like, I don't care. I'm like, well, here, I'm showing you. This is the shit I do. I'm not some fucking Joe Schmo who's out here just taking snapshots. I fuck off. I'm like, I'm going to do that. I'm going to tell you. You know why? Because
I am an influencer.
No, because my art is worth it. What I'm creating is not what some other asshole is taking a snapshot. No, this is the work I'm doing. Fucking give me some respect.
Yeah.
No, I'm different. I work for myself. If I get fucking canned, I get canned. It's on me.
What would be really cool is if you got the players in some sort of retro uniform and took more historical looking photos of them.
Yeah, well, last year Junior there was like a Negro League throwback at the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
But he told me he wasn't going. And then last minute he went. And those photos where they were wearing the grays and all the different unis of the Negro League, that would have been perfect. But another time.
There just needs to be more setup shoots, which is not easy to do. I know you and like the few minutes you had with Bryce Harper, for example, in the dugout, stuff like that, and go around and get all the top players.
I set all that, everything I did, I set up myself, except for when the Mets offered to give me help as PR. So I also ran into some other PR issues that turned me off when I was going to shoot at another stadium, and I wanted to give them a heads up. Hey, I'll be coming out to the stadium. This is what I'll be doing. And they're like, oh, you can't get on the field. And I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, oh, we can't approve a credential. And I'm like, I'm not sure you understand what I'm saying here. I was just giving you a heads up.
Here's my photo book.
No, I have a credential.
Look at the images.
I'm not asking you for a credential. I already literally have the season credential that allows me to come here. I was just being kind and giving you a heads up that I'll be showing up. And from that point on, I'm just showing up to the stadiums. And most of the time, someone knows me when I get there just from my work, and it makes it much easier. I'm not taking someone's spot because I don't know where everybody sits or stands in these areas. So I make sure I'm not in someone's spot. And I check with them because I know they're working. I know I'm working too, but to me, it doesn't seem like work, but it is. But it's just, I don't want to bone their shots.
The difference is if you don't get the shot, you still get paid. If they don't get the shot, they might not get paid.
Well, I don't get paid because I'm not getting paid to do this.
I'm just saying sometimes there ends up being content out of it, which in turn might get you paid.
Correct.
Your job is not on the line. Let's just say that.
No. The other thing is I took the wide lux cameras, Google wide lux. Peter McKinnon has one. Jeff Bridges is a big fan of the wide lux 35 millimeter, the F7, I believe I have. And it's a camera that basically takes panos. It has a turreting front, a turret head, so that it will swing from left to right or right to left to expose the image. And I have two versions. I've got the 35 millimeter and the 120 version. And I'm having issues with the 120 on some rolls, and the 35, I've gotten some cool shots from Hawaii, and I haven't developed the baseball stuff yet because I honestly lost interest in using the wide lux. And I'll tell you why I lost interest. It's just a point and shoot camera that does one thing.
100%.
And it gets repetitive and boring.
It's like taking a normal pano. I mean, you only can do so many. It's that one establishing ultra wide shot. It's like using a fisheye lens. You get one shot out of it, and that's kind of it. You don't want to go overboard with it. It's a very niche type of camera.
And my idea was I take it to all the different stadiums, and I show that from all the stadiums. But I'm like, this is just. It's literally a point and shoot. I don't even look through the viewfinder of the 35 because it's not in the right place. So you just hold the camera in front of you, you put your hands on top, you take the picture, and you move on. But I think I need to just continue the focus, stick to the 4x5, go to different stadiums. And the other thing is, like, I talked with Mookie Betts. Thankfully, the only way I got able to get a message to him was through Mystery Man, sent him a text and was like, look for this guy on the field. He's doing this project. And so I talked to Mookie. He's like, I'm going to take infield. I got this going on. And then he comes over after he takes infield and he's like, hey man, he's like, can we make this real quick? And I'm like, I'll make it even quicker. We're not even going to do it. And let me tell you what I'll do. I'm like, I don't want to take your time. Make it, you're going to rush. This is your time. I'm going to come to LA. And I'm going to do it in your stadium when you have more time. I'll get there super early. He's like, when you come to LA, just let me know. We'll make that work.
Awesome.
Because I didn't want to take 2 minutes of his time and do a quick rush job.
Yeah.
And I know that he wants to get into the clubhouse to get ready. And so I just thought it would feel better and more respectful to just be like, hey, I got you this time. Like, let's just do it. And I think the big takeaway is I want to photograph certain players in their own stadium. So like Aaron Judge, I want to photograph at Yankee Stadium where I take him close to the wall or close to an area that I can get a low angle shooting up so you can see the Yankee stadium roof thing that they always have that, whatever that.
Yep. As long as you can tell exactly which stadium you're filming in, you just need to make sure you have some sort of landmark in the background that you can tell, hey, I'm at Yankee Stadium. Hey, I'm in New York City. Hey, I'm wherever.
And yeah, well, what I don't want to do is just what I did last year is I had a lot of players that I got portraits of were in Citizens Bank Ballpark. It doesn't take away from it, but I want to be able to get Mookie Betts on the field in LA,
his home turf. Yeah.
Yeah. In a ready position to field a ground ball. I want to get him smiling, a tight headshot. He's got nice chains. He's got a great smile. I want to do that photo, and I want to do one with a bat, So it's just, I need a little bit of time, and I need buy-in from the PR people.
100%.
And that would make it better. So that's my thinking. Will it end up in a book? I think one day it could end up in a book if I partner with MLB or I get permission to make the book, then I would consider doing it.
I'm still not opposed to you just mixing formats too. It doesn't have to be all 4x5. I think it can all be film and you can still mix in the 120.
Well, that's I thought of that with the 120 wide lux, but right now I need to talk to someone who actually knows how the 120 wide lux works, because I have rolls that work perfect, and then I have a whole roll like from Jurassic Park where it has a second exposure
All
on
double
every
exposed.
frame.
Yeah.
But that doesn't, the turret didn't move twice. I didn't hit the shutter.
There's also some sort of weird light leaking going on both the left and
Sometimes.
right side of the frame. Almost every time
Sometimes.
with that.
Not every time. No, I have a whole roll where it's not even there.
Really? With the 120?
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on there then.
There's just weird. This is why this company's out of business in the 1980s, is it just didn't work right.
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm at with that project. Now, moving on, because I just mentioned books, tariffs, whiplash has taken hold where we were told that there would be reciprocal tariffs last week, meaning 10% flat tariff on everything coming into this country, followed by an extra 20% on Europe, which made me worry about my book, my photo book, which is we delayed. It's not on the boat at the moment. We delayed a week because we didn't know what was going on with the tariffs.
Sure.
If it came in and I owed 10% plus 20%, that's 30% tariff on the costs of the books. That is just fucking stupid. I can't. I literally would be giving away the books for free at that point, doing all this work, or possibly just losing all the money, just losing money on top, never making any profit off of anything. So going, 2 years of work to make nothing and to lose money. Then the shipping company got back to us because I found an article that said, or I think somebody may have sent me the article that said that printed materials are exempt. And the first thing I read was loose printed materials. I'm like, well, that's not me. I'm a book. Then it said materials printed and put in a book or serialized or whatever the word was are exempt from the tariffs. So that's what we're banking on, is that the books come in and there is no tariff. But by the time the books come in, if it takes 3 weeks or 4 weeks on the water, who knows what the fuck the Trump administration or Trump is going to do at this point.
You wouldn't pay anything until it hit the U.S., correct?
You couldn't get your books out of the customs unless you cut them a fucking extortion check, which is exactly what it is.
Yeah.
So the problem here is yesterday Trump canceled the reciprocal tariffs, but still leaves the 10% tariffs, except on China, which now has 120% tariff. It's like the problem here is businesses don't know what to do. You can't plan your business accordingly because you have no idea what they're going to do tomorrow. So it makes it hard for a company like, I don't know about Think Tank, right? Their stuff was produced in Vietnam, because Vietnam is a really good place for making bags. A lot of camera companies make bags in Vietnam, which is better than China. So for making that type of content. And so they were worried. I didn't talk to them, but they didn't know. I checked with someone who knows a little bit, but they're like, they don't know what to do. They don't know what's going to happen. But now there should be no reciprocal tariffs on Vietnam. Does that mean there's still going to be 10%, or are bags exempt? Like, what is exempt? And that's the thing, is it's pick or choose, and whoever pays them off.
Yeah.
If you pay off the government, you pay off Donald Trump and getting his good favors, well, there's going to be no tariffs on you. And that's just how it's all working and shaking out. The problem is, how does a company like Sony, Nikon, Canon, Panasonic, Fuji, who all produce a lot of stuff, the more affordable stuff in China, how do they prepare? Because they don't know. Is the tariff 20%? Is it 120%? Is it going to be there tomorrow? Is it not going to be there tomorrow? You're talking about a camera that was $800 being $1,600. How is that going to, that's not going to work. No one's going to buy it.
And they cannot eat that pricing.
No, it just doesn't work like that. So we have no idea what's going to happen here. You're never going to, they're not going to start making cameras in the United States. It's just not fiscally, economically possible, because who's going to sit there and screw little screws in? That's not how this country works.
Well, and I think the issue is paying people to screw little screws in. The minimum wage here is going to be incredibly more expensive than someone in China.
Yeah, even minimum wage of $7.25 is a lot more than the 30 cents a day that some little Chinese person, and by little I mean like small hands like some kid screwing in screws into something.
I know Black Magic, I think, held off U.S. pricing for their latest camera they just announced. I think Canon...
Well, they didn't hold off. They were the first to announce tariffs on them. First to announce a price raise, but that was a week ago.
But I don't think they gave official U.S. pricing yet, right?
I don't know.
Even like the Nintendo Switch 2, I think they didn't list US pricing or even have pre-orders available for US.
They canceled the pre-orders. They had pricing.
That's it, pre-orders, yeah.
There was 4
because it's all up in the air.
Yeah, but I'm not a gamer, but I was watching MKBHD's video on the Switch, and they want to sell games for $80 or $90. How do they get this shit so wrong? Every time you release a system, how do you get it so wrong? The games were like $40, $50 for a long time. Sometimes they would push $70 for a game. But how are you starting to push $80 and $90 and think people are going to be okay with that for a digital game?
Yeah. Unfortunately, everybody's used to these insane prices these days that you have to pay to play. It sucks. I'm not a gamer at all. I'm so out.
I don't
of
have a
the loop
game
with that
console.
stuff.
I got roped into.
I mean,
Troy.
I have a Nintendo 64 and a Super Nintendo and a PS2, like all these old consoles, just for like a retro use. But that's it.
Do you use your Super Nintendo?
I do not. I think the last time I played it was like 4 years ago.
Can you bring it in? Because I went to plug mine in. So I bought the inverter when my friend, when she was coming up, she had a game she wanted to play. And I have my Super Nintendo, but it would get the audio signal, but it wouldn't get the video signal. And when I Googled it,
it's just the
that
cable?
was a known... No. It was all new cables and a new converter box. It wasn't. I tried No, it's not the cable because I plugged it into the N64 and the N64 worked fine. It's a known issue with Super Nintendo that there was a certain issue over time with the video board failing, or a connection failing. So I want to see if yours works.
Did you blow on the games?
And again, I did blow. I even blew a guy in the corner to see if that would work. I was just like, "Yo, come here."
Oh, Jesus!
Wait, that's sucking, not blowing.
Taking it way too far.
No, but that's where you led me to the water, Steven.
I didn't lead you to blowing some guy in the corner.
You did. Did you blow on it?
The game, piece of plastic.
You know what I did? Do you know what I did after I blew the game? I put up a bat signal with a Subaru logo, and then a whole bunch of dudes and women came running to the door on their rainbow chariots, and they were like, "We're here to help." And not that accent, though. In a different, "We're here to help. We're here to help. How may we help you?" You know what that voice sounded like? "Who are you?"
Oh, Tom DeLonge.
Yeah.
And I'm so sorry.
1 week after listening to Blink 182. 2 weeks after listening to Blink 182. "Who are you?"
Yed.
Yed.
No H's.
Yed.
It's all Y's.
Video games. Yeah, Troy the other day was having a LAN party
for Halo. Yeah. Awesome.
I've never played Halo. I went over just to see what these nerds were doing, and he has his 90 fucking 8-inch TV that he got on sale, which is impressive. It's a Samsung, fucking impressive, that 90 some inch TV. He got a great deal on it, and boy, is it gorgeous. I think it's like an OLED too. It's just fucking gorgeous. Then they had a separate TV set up where they had 4 controllers on one TV and 4 controllers on another. And instead of running a LAN wire like they did back in the day, it was just easier to do it over the internet. So they did that. And I played. I've never played before, but I played Halo.
You never played Halo?
I never had an Xbox.
Oh, I was obsessed. We were so obsessed with Halo when it first came out in like 2001 or maybe 2000, I think it was. But it was when I was in like 7th grade or 8th grade.
So you used to blow dudes to play that game?
What?
Is that what you're trying to say?
What? We played so much, we burned it into my buddy's plasma screen, the multiplayer 4-screen mode. That's how many times we played that game. It was every single day after school. We played for probably like a year or 2 straight, and I freaking crushed at that game. And then Troy, by the way, I feel like Troy is like and I say this in the least degrading way possible, he is quite literally a man-child.
He likes to have fun, but he's also serious when it comes to work. But he likes his movies. He likes his movie cars. He likes dressing up. And when someone calls him to a party as a ramrod, right? He'll dress up as one of the police officers. He'll get his friend to dress up as a police officer, and he shaves his beard so just the mustache is there.
I think it's fucking awesome,
He
dude.
plays it around.
I love that man, and I think what he's doing is great. I wish I had time to do that kind of stuff. It's how I envisioned I would be when I was 12 years old. I'm like, this is how I'm going to be as an adult. I'm going to have LAN parties of Halo. And
No, instead you cut your lawn.
instead of I'm
you're out there-
obsessed with my freaking lawn. Yeah.
You're manicure. You know what you should get?
And making sure
You
I
should
have
get-
like the right color shutters or some shit.
I'm surprised
Spending
you don't
weeks
have
on
a.
picking out paint.
I'm surprised you don't have a lawnmower video game where you have a whole setup,
Like
and
a
you
simulator?
You have a sim rig for mowing. Like, oh, today I'm gonna mow in Oklahoma on a farm.
I'm not that nuts.
Dude, I guarantee you would sit there, you'd put on your headphones, and you'd get a big, what's the big turning radius ones?
Like
What
a
are those
zero
called?
turn, yeah.
A zero turn. So, but in the game, you could also get a combine. So you can do all the different things, and you can set it up, and you can then cut like, today we're going to pick tulips in fucking the Netherlands.
Again, I wish I had the time to do something badass like that, but I haven't even mowed my lawn yet, and it's April 10th. I haven't even touched the lawnmower. It's still got oil sitting in it from last year. First world problems.
Lawnmower Simulator for PS4 and PS5 on PlayStation. Lawnmower, literally. Is this a joke?
Can you send me that link? What?
This product entitles you to download both the digital PS4 version of and the digital 5 version. Is this not an April Fool's joke? Experience the beauty and detail of mowing the great British countryside in Lawn Mowing Simulator, the only simulator that allows you to ride an authentic and expansive roster of real-world licensed lawnmowers from prestigious manufacturers like Toro, SCAG, and STGA as you manage your business. Nerds! Steven's Googling it. He's downloading it right now. I want Subaru Simulator next. Hey, download the Subaru Simulator because you can drive to the Outback in your Subaru Outback. But when you're done with that, you can go to the Whole Foods and make sure you can get all of your groceries in the back. And then when you get home to your wife, there is a scissoring option. Steven takes it too far. He wonders why we get canceled or don't have plugs. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, Steven. Let's
Too
move
much.
on from the. Let's
always,
move on
always
from the
too far.
That's kind of funny. I think Stu's probably laughing at that right now. Stu the bowler, who we did do a little vignette. Hopefully he shows up in the show this year. In some case, and then if we get a second season, we might feature him quite a bit. I hope he wins something. No, that's
the way you always talk about him. You're like, yeah, I hope he wins something.
I hope he wins. I wanted to see him on TV. Get a good following.
I know.
Get a good.
It's the way you say it.
Yeah, he knows I'm busting his balls. He busts my balls repeatedly. Anyway, so we don't know what's happening with tariffs at this point. I don't think anybody will. The other news coming out of Washington is that the AP is now free to go back into the White House and photograph again, which means Evan Vucci, who we interviewed with a great interview, who did that Trump photo pumping his fist saying fight, fight,
One of
fight
the
after he was
greatest pictures ever taken.
hit by shrapnel in the ear. He was banned. The AP was banned from the White House. If you don't know the story, the AP was banned because they refused to acknowledge the Gulf of America. They keep calling it the Gulf of Mexico, which is what everybody else calls it around the world. And so they were like, no. And so the courts have ruled that that is not constitutional, that they can come back in, they can call it the whatever the hell they want to call it, and they can't be barred from covering the news in the White House. And so Evan Vucci should be going back into the White House to do his thing, which is work and tell the story for history's purposes.
How long was he out for?
I mean, it's been months. It's been like 2 or 3 months at this point. Well, let's see. He's only been in office since January. So it's February, March, April. It's been like 2 months of that.
Wow. Surprised it took that long.
Yeah. So anyway, they're going back into the White House. But the biggest thing to discuss right now is Sony Alpha Rumors dropped a rumor the other day. Can I read the headline, Steven?
Sure.
I want to read the headline. And remember, this guy is not English speaking. He's Italian?
Italian, I believe, yeah.
It's like a world's first, exclamation point. Sony will soon announce, breaking news, Sony will soon announce. Yeah, soon announce. Yeah, it's just different. I'm not making fun of him for that, but he dropped the news that Sony is coming out with a world's first lens. This is a rumor of a 50 to 150 f2.
Oof. That is probably your dream lens, if I had to guess.
I mean, ideally, I like something.
Top
I mean,
three.
28 to 70 is pretty good. Now, if you had a 24 to 105 f2, I think a 24 to 105 f2 would be, or even a 24 to 85, a 24 to 100, like just something. A 24 to 105 would be an incredible lens if you could make it. I would deal with the weight of that.
That is like the holy grail of lenses. A 24 to 105, if that existed, I feel like I would never have to take it off my camera.
Well, you have your 24 to 105 2.8, which is what I use to shoot video when I'm second shooting the bowling show. I'm using the 24 to 105 predominantly because that's better than people shooting Sony who only have a 24 to 70 2.8. A 24 to 105 would basically live on your camera all day. A 50 to 150 f2 for video, that's going to live on your camera too. Because 50, if you have enough room, is going to be plenty wide. Going to be also great locked off. 105 at f2, 150 at f2 is going to be pretty amazing if these rumors are true. It just sounds like an insane lens.
You're essentially combining like a 70 to 200 2.8 with a 135 1.8 with multiple prime lenses into one single zoom f2 constant aperture lens. I mean, having 135 f2 versus a 135 1.8, it's basically the exact same lens, but now you have the insane versatility of a 50 to 150. It almost renders the 135 1.8 just kind of pointless now. You know, granted,
100%
based on the
pointless.
rumored pricing, it's the 135 is like half the price. So if you don't really shoot past that, I guess you don't really need a 50 to 150 f2. And the 135, I'm sure, being a prime, is still going to be sharper, but the versatility always wins, in my opinion.
The way I personally would look at it is if this is real and I'd consider a 50 to 150, I would be replacing the 135 and the 70 to 200. I don't think I would
100%.
replace a 51.2, but the price of the 70 to 200 is 20 some hundred, and the price of the 135 is over. Based off of the rumored price, those two lenses cost more than what this one zoom lens would cost.
They're saying that it's going to be 4,400 euro. So, we're looking at like $4,000, 4,500 US dollars at that point. Where this kind of goes head to head, in my opinion, with the 35 to 150 Tamron. But the issue with that one is it's a variable aperture lens. It's f2 to 2.8. And I think that f2 only goes to like 40 millimeters or 39. So
exactly 39.
Yeah. So it's really like more like a 2.8 lens all the way through. But you also get the extra wide 35 versus 50. Not extra wide, but the wider 15 millimeter range. It's also significantly cheaper at $1,600 right now on sale. But 50 to 150, I mean, this pairs perfectly with something like a 28 to 70 f2 that Sony just released. This is what we thought Canon was going to do first, have that f2 trinity. Granted, Sony's not there yet. They don't have an ultra wide f2, which I don't know if anyone will ever make that because it'll be such a big, bulbous type of lens, I'm sure, and expensive. But having 28 to 150 now, f2, that's pretty mind-blowing if this is true.
Yeah, I to add it 28 to 70 and a 50 to 150, a wedding photographer's dream, a photojournalist's dream. I could have both of those on a Black Rapid double strap, two cameras, one on the left with the 28 to 70, one on the right with the 50 to 150, and you have two bodies and you're just banging it out. I mean, you cover the entire range. Because when I was on the road with Bernie, I did have the 70 to 200 the first time, and then after that, I left the 70 to 200 at home because I only took a 135. That was the longest that I would take. If this was the case and I shot Sony, and this is real, I would have probably a 14 to 24 for the wide stuff, a 28 to 70, a 50 to 150, and then they don't have an 85 1.2, but I would have an 85 1.2 if an 85 1.2 existed. Those four lenses would be everything.
And honestly, you wouldn't even really need necessarily the 85-1.2 or the ultra wide. It's more like, let me just have them in the arsenal just in case. And I do agree the 85-1.2 is kind of a different look than an 85 f2, but still, like, you could get away with a lot with an 85 f2 as well. And again, you have that versatility. Now, Sony Alpha Rumors is saying that it's going to be heavier and larger than the Tamron, and the Tamron's already fairly big. If you remember,
Can I say something? Can I say something about the Tamron?
Sure.
I want to say something about the Tamron. The Tamron in no way will hold a candle to whatever this lens is if it's real. There's just no way. That Tamron didn't focus extremely well. I couldn't ever really feel like an image was tack sharp. It's an awesome range, but I think I said it in the review at the time that it just lacked. It lacked that awesome contrast and zhush, like the really awesome look, and the tightness of focus was just lacking.
Which kind of seems to be the case for most Tamron lenses when you compare it to the first-party Sonys, for sure. But saying it's heavier and larger, that one is already kind of a heavy and large lens, so I'm curious, how big will this lens be? And the biggest thing, will it be external zooming like the Tamron? I don't think so, just because Sony tends to never go that route. But you never know. So will this be a giant, like, think about the 200 f2 from Canon or the 1.8. That is a very big lens. It's very similar to like the 300 2.8 from Sony. So will this be about that size?
It's actually bigger because Sony's 300 2.8. I think back to the dream lens that I wanted was the Nikon 200 f2 back in the day. There was the 200 f2 VR and then the 200 f2 VR 2. Mm-hmm. And that was the same weight roughly as a 300. It was like a 6-pound lens.
Yeah.
So
now the optics have gotten significantly lighter these days, but I still think it's going to be a fairly large, heavy lens and expensive. I think $4,000 is on the money, quite literally.
Yeah, being that I drive expensive cars and own many buildings, $4,000 doesn't seem like a lot.
Oh, Sony Alpha Rumors did also say that the source told him that he also saw it being tested on a new Sony body, which I'm assuming is the A7V, the long-rumored A7V. So maybe that will hit soon. But I wouldn't be surprised if this whole tariff situation is throwing that off for quite some time. I think most new products will be held back for a little while because of this whole weird situation.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with Apple either, because Apple makes a lot of stuff in China.
Mm-hmm.
If this lens is real, that's a pretty impressive thing, and I'll be upset just for the fact that...
Will you switch back if it's real?
No, I won't be switching back.
Because the 28 to 70 f2, I feel like, was the main reason you went to Canon. One of the main reasons.
Autofocus and 28 to 70 was the main reason. Yeah. What Canon needs to do, being that lens is over 6 years old at this point, is hit us with a version 2 that is 24 to 70 f2, and that puts like a rub or a jab at Sony because they just came out with the 28 to 70. If Canon's is 24 to 70 and they're able to make it lighter, that would be a win. And if they are working on a 50 to 150, or imagine like a 50 to 180, like if they came up with something super cool, I don't think that Canon can ever make them as light or as small as what Sony does.
I agree. Sony always wins on that front. And I also think Sony is always the one upper. I think they're the ones that usually, like, if you give us a 28 to 70, we're going to do a 24 to 70.
But they didn't.
Even though they didn't. But Canon, I feel like, usually just matches 1-to-1 what the other companies do. They tend not to go above and beyond and make it something crazier. Unless they're the first doing it, obviously. But if they're just trying to match someone else, they tend to just match them. Where Sony tends to be like, well, we're going to give you a lighter lens.
We'll see what happens. I mean, if that lens is real, does it make an 85-1.2 unnecessary from Sony at this point?
I think it makes a 135 1.8 unnecessary. I don't 100%. Know about. But granted, again, if you're a 135 is half the price. If this $4,000 roughly US dollar number is right.
But again, if you have a 70 to 200 and a 135, or you were thinking of buying both of those, you only need to buy the one lens for less money than buying both of those lenses combined.
You're still losing out on 50 mil, which is somewhat of a big deal if you shoot a lot of long. Yeah, I mean, sports, having limited to 150, I feel like that 200 does give you that extra reach.
I think that a 50 to 150 would be incredible for basketball. I think the basketball players would like it. I
Closer.
think baseball, not very good from outside areas. Inside, sure. Batting practice, probably. Anytime you can get closer into something where you don't need the 200. But a lot of times, I don't even shoot at 200 anymore with a 70 to 200 because it's just too tight. It doesn't give me the scene that I'm looking for. But also, remember, Canon has a 100 to 300 2.8. That's still a super unique, amazing lens that I use during the World Series.
Sure.
I prefer the 100 to 300 over Sony's option of just a fixed 3. Yeah, their fixed 3 is small and light, but it's not a 100 to 300. And versatility-wise, I am crushing it with that lens.
I wouldn't be surprised if Sony has a 100 to 300 in the works or something. Like I said, they're a one-upper.
I don't think they do.
We didn't think they'd have a 50 to 150 if this is true. F2.
I don't think they would come out with a 300 2.8 and then follow it up with a 100 to 300 2.8 and cannibalize the sales of the other. I just don't think they would.
Keep in mind, the 100 to 300 is going to be probably a $10,000 plus lens. So if people don't need that versatility, it's the same as having a 135 1.8. This kind of cannibalizes that. It's kind of the
Jared
same
says
theory.
you need the versatility. If I say you need the versatility, Steven, you need the versatility.
I'm just saying, what's a 300 2.8 go for right now? $6,000?
6? Yeah.
Where a 100 to 300 will be like $10,000+.
If you're already spending 6, you might as well spend another 4.
100% increase almost.
So just add a tariff, Steven.
You're so unrealistic.
I am unrealistic at this point. I know that. I do acknowledge and realize that.
I try to bring you back down to earth.
When I started,
peasants over here.
Steven, when I started this Frono's Photo journey with $400 in the bank account.
You were on the same page as everyone, yeah.
I was below the page of everyone. When I worked at Alan's Camera and someone would come in and drop 20 grand on a setup on a Tuesday, I would be like, how is this possible?
Nice.
No, I never said must be nice. I am not that asshole. I had a friend that used to say must be nice, and I'd be like, you have to stop saying that because you're the one that can control what happens.
Well, I think if you're a Nepo baby of some sort, a must be nice can be thrown out there. I think if you work your ass off from the ground up like yourself, I think you've earned that.
Yeah, but I do know the days of going out to eat and being like, well, I only have $15. I need to not order that. Plus, I have to remember there's a tip involved. And holy shit, I have no money, right? Like, I know what it was like. And so, but it makes it more difficult when you start to have, and it's harder to think back to the days where I'm like, oh, I'll buy a $4,000 lens. When back in the day, someone coming in and buying a $4,000 lens, I was like, how is this possible? I will never have that amount of money to be able to just go and buy that. But they were working pros or wealthy.
My entire kit from the beginning, all of my money went toward, very similar to the fun photographer we did recently, Cayenne. Very similar to that, where all of my money in college went towards all of my gear. If I had $2,000 in my bank account, all $2,000 went to, I was living at home, so it was my parents still at the time. But yeah, all of it went towards my gear. Everything I owned went towards that.
I'm just curious if you can hear the little things I say in the microphone right there.
You said something, but I couldn't hear.
Does that go through into the episode?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Oh, good.
But sometimes Zoom's like automatic compression like cuts it off, so I don't hear it until after. And then I'm like, wait, what did he say?
Yeah, I just did that to you twice.
No, what I always end up hearing is you yawning. I'm like, great. It's Jared yawning again while I'm talking. Awesome. Exactly.
Yeah, well,
like
I wait till yours because I can't yawn when I talk because everything I say is so important.
It's yawning or like you checking your phone or typing. Like I can always hear all of that stuff going on in the background.
Very important stuff, Steven.
Very important. By the way, speaking of lenses, while we're on this lens topic of 50 to 150, we did just put out the best telephoto zoom lenses for Sony E-mount video. I think it's a really cool video.
Budget. Forgot the word budget.
Excuse me. Budget. Yes, that's a big, important word in that title. So this is a video for wildlife and birders, even certain sports. There's just so many options for super telephoto zoom budget lenses that we wanted to have one video kind of summarizing all of our other reviews in a single video and narrowing them down and saying, hey, here are the options. We did several reviews on these. Here's the pros and cons. Now, we specifically only did budget zoom lenses from 600 millimeters and on. So that's the 200 to 600, the 400 to 800 Sony, the Sigma 60 to 600, the 150 to 600. This is not about prime lenses. This is only, again, budget zoom lenses. And I think it's a really interesting video, and we're going to hopefully do this for each brand, Nikon, Canon, list all the options you have. Here's a summary of all the reviews we did. This is a video that I would have loved to watch if I was a birder or a wildlife shooter starting out.
Yeah, when we say budget, we mean in comparison budgetarily to a 600 f4, a 400 2.8.
Well, these are the only options.
100 to 300
that go 600 and beyond. I mean, they are considered budget. Yeah.
Yeah, they're budget because they're $2,000 to $3,000.
Yeah.
I will say, when I'm looking for something like a workout bench, I'm going to look up best workout bench on YouTube.
Exactly.
And there was a guy who did 20 benches in one video, right? He talked about the pros and cons. Like, that's the stuff that I personally look for. And people are looking for advice on what to get. And that's why we make videos like that.
You know who I always watch? Project Farm, where he basically breaks down and tests like the best AA batteries and lists like 20 brands and puts them through rigorous tests and tells you at the end what the best option is to buy. It must take him weeks to produce, but they also end up getting millions of views because they're so well done. Project Farm, watch them on YouTube.
So that's pretty much where we'll end up wrapping it up. There wasn't a ton of photo-related stuff this week, though. I think we added quite a lot that we needed to talk about of what actually happened, because not every week is action-packed with photo news always coming out, and I don't want to talk about every little freaking rumored lens of China stuff coming out or new China lenses. Like, Sony Alpha Rumors always post these like new companies creating a lens. He's getting paid to do that. There's no doubt in my mind that these companies are like, we're going to pay Sony Alpha Rumors to talk about this 51-8. That's my guess. Allegedly, in my opinion. All of that stuff. So
don't sue me.
Whatever. Episode 146. Anything to leave it with, Steven?
That is it. Hopefully your car does not blow up.
Yeah, it's at 96 degrees right now, and I don't know why.
96?
I don't know why. It's 66 degrees. It's 40 degrees
this
out.
Is
I don't know what is going
plan,
on.
Man.
Yeah,
and your Tesla Model 9?
You know, I'm going to get in there, and it's going to be just ashes. I'm not going to say the joke of how many can you get in a Volkswagen, because that's an old bad joke that Steven once told. Nancy? Nancy?
All right.
Okay, guys. Jared Polin Photo.com. See ya.
Bye.